Greetings, my beloved earlanders. Welcome back to Imagination Station. It's your favorite author, Lisa Walker McCrae, with another riveting story time from the pages of my novel, A Peculiar Kind of Love. Remember, you guys, these videos are for entertainment purposes only. First and foremost, big praise to the Most High Yah. And for you all that are still chiming in, much love and appreciation from this way. Now, are y'all ready to dive into those imaginations and see what this story time holds today? Cool beans. Let's turn some pages. Chauncey, set the stage. Okay, loves, quick recap. On our last trip into our imaginations, Drew ran into a young man she'd encountered a couple of times before, Tevin. Unfortunately, this encounter was much different from the rest. Actually, it was heartbreaking for Drew. The once vibrant young man was now homeless, smelly, he just lost his job, and showed every sign of being defeated. So, what did Drew do? This beautiful soul took Tevin back to Serenity Meadows, fed him, comforted him, then offered him room and board in exchange for his help around the B&B. Tevin was more than grateful for Drew's kindness. On the other hand, Mr. Pete wasn't too happy about the new help or the googly eyes Tevin made it rain. He knew there would be trouble with their names attached. On a more crazier note, Mr. Styles' identity was revealed, or shall I say found out, when Drew bumped into him on a quest to conquer the last piece of pie from the fridge before someone made it their own. On this mission is when she found out Mr. Styles was more than just a guest. So, let's get into it and find out just how Drew handles the shock of Mr. Styles being Marcus. Before we check in on Drew, let's follow up with our boy Marcus, who was pulling up to his parents' house. Marcus couldn't believe after 56 years they'd finally left Shiloh City for the peaceful country life of Promise, Texas. He tried plenty of times to convince his parents to sell their house in Shiloh, but they always refused, arguing Shiloh was and always would be their home. Well, all that changed when their home was burglarized a year ago, leaving his parents traumatized and eager to give up their roots for safety. Getting out of his car, Marcus observed the small Jim Walters home. It was just the right size for his parents. Not too big, not too small. He smiled when noticing the small garden protected by a wire fence a few feet from the house. Marcus could see his mother was still making sure his dad stayed busy in his garden, which was a part of his therapy. Marcus walked up the ramp to the screen door. He could smell the aroma of his mother's peach cobbler dancing in the air. This took him back to a time when him and Michael were kids and they would grow weary waiting for a serving accompanied by a scoop of vanilla ice cream. Marcus took a deep breath, then exhaled. He then painted on a smile, hoping to cover the void he felt. His parents could always sense when something was wrong, and Marcus wasn't ready to give any details about the last few weeks just yet. The crazy part is, they didn't even know he was out. No one did until he carelessly ran into Drew. By his actions alone, Marcus knew he'd be his parents' embarrassment once again and the talk of Promise until the end of time. A smile graced his face. He thought to self, it was well worth it being able to be near Drew. Marcus then walked through the door, following the aroma of peach cobbler to the kitchen, where he found his parents dancing to Bob Marley's Forever Lovin' Ja. He smiled watching his parents sway back and forth. It amazed Marcus to look into his parents' eyes and still see the love they held for each other for so long. It was inspiring. This was the kind of love his heart desired to share with Drew. But at this moment, he didn't know where him and Drew stood, or even if they had a friendship at all. See, after being found out, Marcus got up early the next morning and left the B&B. He went and got a room in Shiloh City in hopes to avoid the embarrassment of facing Drew. Face it, baby, you did it, you need to face it. Anywho, Marcus quickly touched up his smile before interrupting his parents. He then pranced over to join them in their dance. Hey, get it, hey, get it, Marcus yelped out, hyping his parents up. The Tidwells danced even more, not realizing it was Marcus dancing with them instead of Michael. They were sure it was Michael. He was known to join them when they usually got their boogie on. Marcus's mother did a whole turnabout before noticing it was Marcus, not Michael, dancing with them. Her face lit up like the stars. Connie clutched her heart. Oh my, it's my baby. Kirk is Marcus. She wasted no time jumping into his arms. Marcus's mother lavished him with hugs and kisses. He indulged. Mr. Tidwell wanted to get in on the action, but waited patiently. He couldn't get a hug in edgewise. Mrs. Tidwell wouldn't let Marcus go. Connie finally released Marcus. She praised Yah for bringing her baby home safe and in one piece. Tears rolled down her face as she jumped around with joy. Mr. Tidwell was more than grateful. He hugged his son. A smile stretched from one side of his face to the other. The Tidwells took a moment to get reacquainted with their son before sitting down to eat a dinner they had no clue would be a welcome home celebration. The trio had a good time catching up. Anywho, after stuffing himself with his mother's home cooking, Marcus felt whole. He rubbed his stomach thinking, Miss Sue was a beast in the kitchen, but no one could get down like his mother. Thank you, Ma, that was good. Marcus kissed her cheek. She returned the kiss once again, letting him know how wonderful it was to have him home. Marcus eyed both his parents. The happiness in their eyes held his heart. If he could give them back 3 years of joy in exchange for the 3 years of hurt and worry, he would. So, son, are you ready to get back in the swing of things? Marcus's father asked. Marcus assured he was ready. Then he thanked his father, Jay, and Michael that all he had to do was walk in. Connie could see it was time for a father and son heart to heart, so she got up and excused herself from the table, but not before embracing her son once more, giving him a kiss on the forehead. I'm glad you're home, baby. I'm blessed to be home, Ma. Marcus handed her a blushing smile. Mr. Tidwell and his son sit in silence a moment, allowing Yah to speak to their hearts. Marcus cleared his throat and spoke. He apologized to his father for disgracing them and acting foolishly. Please forgive me, Dad. Marcus shook his head in shame. He went on to say he remembered every morning before leaving for school how his father would have him and Michael recite Proverbs chapter 1, verse 8 through 9. Kirk nodded his head with agreement. A smile painted his face. Praise Yah, he said. Kirk then thanked his son for apologizing, then applauded him for recognizing his foolishness. We all fall short, son. And thanks to Yah's correction and punishment, we learn to do better and be better. Marcus exhaled. As much as he wanted to talk to his father about Drew and what took place at the B&B, he couldn't bring himself to come clean about his foolishness. The words of wisdom his father had just given embarrassed Marcus to even think about his actions concerning Mr. Styles. As it should. Anywho, in between time, let's check in on Drew at Serenity Meadows. Rain is getting on her last nerve talking about Mr. Styles, or shall I say Marcus. Since she found out he was the mystery man, Rain had been on Drew's heels for days wanting details. Drew rolled her eyes to the back of her head. She wanted Rain to shut up and leave the matter alone. So yeah, I get it. That's why he extended his stay. Rain's eyes questioned the answer she already approved about Mr. Styles. Drew, I can't believe Marcus was the mystery man this whole time. You're Marcus. I mean, the fact that I didn't recognize him is crazy, but how could I? I mean, it's been 3 years and it's not like I saw him every day anyway, Rain analyzed. Drew exhaled. Rain was going on and on about how good-looking Marcus had gotten. Rain, Drew yelped out, giving her a side eye. Please focus. It amazed Drew how fascinated and involved Rain was with her and Marcus's situation. She was convinced Rain's interest in journalism was the right fit. And by the way, he's not my Marcus. Not anymore, Drew cleared up. Rain laughed out. Miss Drew, did you have to snatch the pie? Did, Drew stated. Both women were now laughing. Throwing the drama to the side, Drew focused her attention on the checklist she held. Things had to be perfect for Mr. Kingston. Drew had to show him Serenity Meadows was worth investing in. And an article in Stylish Country Living magazine was just the publicity she needed. What time is Mr. Kingston's reservation set for, Rain? Drew asked. She then started to freak out about forgetting to put fresh towels in the safari room. Drew then asked Rain, did Mr. Kingston send his menu choice? Did you email him our daily activity request sheet? Rain didn't have time to answer one question without Drew asking another. She threw up her hand. Chill. Calm down, Drew. I've already taken care of everything, Rain assured. Rain had been watching Drew for weeks, and she noticed that Drew had purposely bombarded herself with work to avoid the whole Marcus situation. Tevin! Drew yelled out, begging for him to come inside. Rain eyed Drew, covering her ears. Gosh, scream much? Drew returned the side-eyed glare. She warned Rain, not today or tomorrow either, walking off to her office. Tevin approached the check-in counter. Rain gave him an eye of warning. He lifted his brow as to say, duly noted. He entered the office. Tevin had known Drew long, but he could tell her character was off. So, instead of getting on her nerves like Rain, Tevin stayed out of the way, doing any and everything Drew asked. What's up, Drew? You need me to do something? At the same time, Tevin eyed Rain at the check-in counter. Drew noticed Tevin's mind was on Rain and not on mandates. She snapped her fingers a couple of times to gain his attention. Hello, are you focused? Can you focus on me for a minute? Tevin apologized, then asked Drew what she said. Drew asked Tevin if he could put fresh towels in the safari room and to make sure the room was presentable for Mr. Kingston. Sure thing, Drew. I got you. Tevin then rushed off to fulfill her request. Drew's phone started to ring. When seeing who it was, she let out a sigh. Oh gosh, perfect. Just what I need. Drew answered the phone. Hello, Julie McCain speaking. The voice thundered. Drew, don't play with me. Why did you put Marcus out like that? Jay hollered. Drew let out another frustrating sigh. She told Jay she didn't have to discuss the matter with him. She then sarcastically stated, By the way, how's your trip? Are you safe? Jay was livid, explaining to Drew Marcus didn't have anywhere else to go. Drew gawked at the phone. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Yes he does. He has you, his parents, his brother. Drew listed. She then went on to inform Jay she had a very important guest coming and didn't have time to deal with Marcus or the matter. Jay calmly but firmly spoke. I could care less about your guest, Drew. You didn't have to put Marcus out like that. Drew was fed up. She spoke firmly. No, Jay, you hold on. Let's get this clear. Marcus didn't have to float around my B&B for weeks pretending to be someone else. Rain walked in. Drew motioned for her to get out. Rain didn't hesitate to put it in reverse, closing the door behind her. She heard Drew and Jay argue before, but not like this. Rain kind of got concerned. She hoped Drew and Jay could work through their differences. It would feel strange not having him pop up every day. Drew was now pacing back and forth with the phone pressed to her ear. She was hot. It seemed like her and Jay had been on the outs about Marcus the last 3 years, and it was really starting to affect their friendship. Drew spoke. Look, Jay, I know Marcus is your boy and all, but this is me. This is Drew. Tears began to flow down her face. Drew searched the desk for tissues. She then asked Jay, did he even stop to think how Marcus's actions made her feel? There was a moment of silence. In that moment, Jay could hear sniffles coming from Drew's phone. Dang, he uttered. Jay then apologized for not understanding and taking the time out to see how Drew felt. Now, Jay was upset with Drew's actions, but there was one thing he couldn't stand, and that was to hear her cry. In that moment, Jay thought back to what Dean said, and he would have to step back and allow Drew to decide about Marcus. Rain was now rolling her eyes standing behind the check-in counter. My goodness, she said to self, looking back at the office door. The bickering between Drew and Jay had started to get on her nerves, so she decided to take a walk through the B&B and check on the guests. While on her rendezvous, Rain heard the delicate sounds of the piano coming from the sunroom. She needed to know whose fingers were behind the mastered sounds of Alicia Keys. Rain opened the door only to find Tevin sitting at the white grand piano. She walked over, more than impressed with Tevin's skills. Hey, you really sound good. I didn't know you played. Tevin started to play off key. Just the presence of Rain made him nervous. Well, maybe not, Rain laughed. Tevin smiled with the mindset to redeem himself for the missed keys. He played another melody of Alicia Keys, but this time added a twist of jazz, assuring Rain she was correct the first time. Rain sung along with the piano keys, adding more fire to the Grammy-winning song. Dang, girl, you can blow. You have the voice of a nightingale, Tevin complimented. Rain chuckled. I be playing around. Tevin told her to stop playing with that talent and do something with it. Rain smiled. It wasn't what Tevin said, but how he said it. How did he say it, Rain? Tevin's encouragement made her feel like she could be the next Jill Scott or Lauryn Hill. It was rare that anyone encouraged Rain to follow her dream. That would be nice, but my parents would kill me, Rain rolled her eyes. Their dream for me is in journalism, she enlightened. Tevin held out his hand for Rain to take it. He then pulled her to the piano bench. What are your dreams, Rain Jacobs, he asked. Rain looked up at the ceiling with the biggest smile on her face. She told Tevin she really didn't know what her dreams were because she'd always been steered into journalism and never gave it a thought. But if I had my choice, it would definitely be music. Iron Rain, Tevin began to play the legendary sounds of Patti LaBelle, If Only You Knew. Oh snap, that's my song, Rain yelped out, jumping up from the piano bench singing along with Tevin. Oh, suck it now. What are these two up to? Pete said it was gonna be trouble. Anywho, what an amazing bonding story time for Tevin and Rain, also for Marcus and his parents. Unfortunately, the story isn't the same for Drew and Jay. He is pressed and demanding at this point about Drew's actions and decisions towards Marcus. And to be clear, she didn't put Marcus out, he left, which was his best move ever, if you ask me. The question now is, will Jay have understanding and give Drew benefit over doubt? We will find out. I just need you guys to stay chimed in and meet me back over here at Imagination Station for the next story time. Until then, loves, register this. Y'all wouldn't have given you the vision for it to fail. Go for it and enjoy the journey on the way. Y'all bless this reading and yourselves. Smooches.